If you want to move away from modern medicine, if you want to discover healthier alternatives for your family, if you want a healthy body, then you're in the right place. Hey beauty, I'm Alexandra. I'm an author and clinical research nurse who discovered that Jesus is the source of true healing. I am the Lord your healer. Exodus 15:26. Hey beauty, this is the third and final episode of the More Energy Method series. If you missed the first two episodes, go ahead, go back and listen to them. Today, we're going to be talking about how Christian, I have in here women, but I'm going to talk about a male too, found healing and energy through God's biblical framework. If you haven't already, go and download your free guide at herholistichealing.com/free, the More Energy Starter Guide for Faith-Fueled Steps to Reclaim Your Health and Peace. So today it's story time. I'm going to talk about people who have experienced healing by following this framework. They didn't really know about the framework, but I can point to points in their journey where they follow this framework. So let's go over the framework again. Number 1, have faith and ask God for wisdom. Number 2, know the truth and meditate on the truth. Number 3, pray for a change of heart, ears to hear and eyes to see. Number 4, be obedient and trust God with the outcome. First up, this is from a dear friend of mine. I talk about her in my book, Discover God's Health Wisdom, Exposing 8 Common Myths That Keep You Sick. I asked her to write a little excerpt. I know I've shared this on the podcast before, but this is so powerful. And I will show you how she applied the framework unknowingly in her healing journey. She says this: whenever we lack wisdom, God invites us to ask Him, the one who is omniscient, all-knowing, and true wisdom is given generously. I was healed of 23 years of Crohn's disease, a complex, painful autoimmune disease, by nothing but God. When the partial knowledge of humanity, science, told me there was no cure, God said, I am your healer, follow me. Science and knowledge are gifts from the Almighty One, yet they are not God. Science, when put in its rightful place, helps us, but when we believe the deception that academia, research, and humanity's partial understanding is more powerful than the one who created it all, then it controls us and leaves us susceptible to more deception. Taste and see that God is good. Do not allow Satan to exploit your pain further. Ask the great I Am to show you his love. He longs to have you close, heal your pain, and give you real power to overcome. Perfect love is victorious. So, this friend who I call Karina, in my book, she was actually the one that I was talking about in previous episode that talked to me about Psalm 139, where I think it's David who tells God to search my heart, know my thoughts, see if there be any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way of life everlasting. So I'm sure she's followed all these steps, but she especially followed the step number 3. She was praying for a change of heart. She told me that she regularly prays and asks God to search her heart. And I've had the privilege to know her for a number of years, and I know that she was doing a bunch of things because she was experiencing a lot of pain from Crohn's disease, but God slowly wanted her to go a different route. And I had the privilege of being around her when she did this. So she also followed the last step, be obedient and trust God with the outcome. She slowly got off of the pain medications and the other medications that she was on. I'm not saying that God leads all people to do that, but she knew that God was leading her to do that. And so she was obedient and she trusted God with the outcome. Here's another story that I believe I've shared on the podcast. She's also been on my podcast. Keisha, she describes herself as this normal, stay-at-home Christian mom who sent her kids to private school. One day there was a knock at the door. The person at the door turned out to be a pimp who told her that her husband owed him money. It turns out that her husband was living a double life and sleeping with prostitutes. She was devastated and mad at God because God didn't give her a hint of what was going on in her husband's life. So she was mad at God. She said, God, if you, here it is in her own words, she told me, I made God a promise that if he ever got me out of the living hell that I was in, then I would spend the rest of my life teaching others how to get out. So knowing her, I do believe that she was following step one of the framework. She had faith and she was asking God for wisdom on what to do. So even though she was really angry at God, she knew the power of putting truth into your head. So what she would do is she would write verses on post-it notes and she would put the post-it notes all over the wall. She said she couldn't go 2 steps without running into a post-it note. She would put it on her vacuum. She would put them everywhere. When the post-its started falling off the walls, her kids would go and run and put the post-it notes back on the wall, and they would say, "Oh, come on, we need to put these post-it notes back on the wall because these help mommy." So they could even see that how much she was dependent on these post-it notes, and she was dependent on the post-it notes because the post-it notes had truth on them. She could have believed the lie that her marriage was over, that there would be no reconciliation, that there would be no healing from it. But now she runs this incredibly successful ministry slash business that helps men and women heal from the trauma that they've been through. So Keisha, she was also obedient and she trusted God with the outcome, which is step 4 of the framework. Here's another beautiful story from a friend of mine. She says, when I first experienced the fibro pain, I didn't know that it was fibro. Whatever label you want to put on it, it was just constant pain. I was at the point of tears and I cried out to God, please, please, please give me wisdom. The very next day, he showed me that I needed to fast. And I did it. I started eating once a day and the fibro pain was greatly diminished to the point where I felt like I could function again. I share that with you because even if God doesn't heal us instantly, like he did when he walked the earth, he can provide wisdom on very simple things that he's provided for us to get better. So here, Evangeline asked God for wisdom and she had faith that God would give it to her. And she was obedient. I don't know how she felt about fasting, but God told her to fast and she was obedient. She trusted God with the outcome. She followed part of this framework, right? Here's another story that I've read on the podcast before. This is a friend of mine. In the book, I call her Eva. After receiving another prescription of steroids, I sat in my car with my prescription and I literally cried out to God. I had a big conversation with God and I said, I know this is not what you want for me. You do not want me to be dependent on this drug for the rest of my life. Because I knew that I would just get sicker and sicker. I believed in my heart that He had healing in store for me, but I didn't know where to find it. I made a pact with Him that I would knock on every door until I found the answer that he had in store for me. When she went home that day, her husband encouraged her to visit his chiropractor's wife. The chiropractor's wife gave Eva the book, The Body Ecology Diet by Donna Gates. After 3 days of following the diet, Eva had no more symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis in her knees. Next, God led Eva to read The Maker's Diet by Jordan Rubin. After this, she was introduced to an organic farmer who uses traditional methods to produce unadulterated, nutrient-dense foods. So there it is. Step 1 of the framework, she asked God for wisdom and she was able to hear from God. She had ears to hear and eyes to see, which is step 3. And she was obedient. She trusted God with the outcome and she was healed. There's another friend in the book that I call Desiree. She started switching out her products in her house that have petrochemicals, carcinogens, hormone disruptors, other things, toxic chemicals, and she saw a huge change in her and her husband's health. She says her headaches went from 1 or 2 times a week to once a month or less. Her husband started to breathe better. They both kind of lost that constant ickiness in their throats. Her husband's allergies massively improved. She had told me that she believed that the closer that we can get to God's design, the healthier that we will be. And the fact of the matter is that when we are using all these toxic products, that's not compatible with God's design because we weren't designed to be exposed to so many toxic chemicals. For instance, there are so many natural oils, natural ointments that we can rub on our skin, but we oftentimes buy these lotions and creams that are made with synthetic chemicals that aren't good for us. So she received this wisdom from God and she was obedient with outcome. Lastly, I was just talking to someone maybe a month or two ago, and he was talking about how he was really struggling with autoimmune issues. And there was a point where I think he said he was in the shower and he just cried out to God. He cried out to God. I believe that those were the words that I used. And if you notice in these other stories that I've been sharing with you, a lot of these people, they just cried out to God. They cried out to God for wisdom. They cried out to God for help. When we humble ourselves, when we chase after God, He will meet us, right? He will give us that wisdom. He will be there for us. So my point was not to tell you all these stories and show you how they fit into this framework that I wrote in my book, but it's a great starting point, right? So if you don't have any other tools in your toolbox, these are some of the best tools. Number one, have faith and ask God for wisdom. Number two, know the truth and meditate on the truth. Number three, pray for a change of heart, ears to hear and eyes to see. Number four, be obedient and trust God with the outcome. You can start doing each and every one of these things today. I mean, if you walk away with nothing from this episode, I hope you see that there's always hope, that we serve a God of miracles, the God who heals. He healed in the Bible. He healed yesterday. He'll heal tomorrow. He can heal today. We just have to have faith. We need to take action. If he tells us to take action, we need to be humble. We need to just pray for a transformation. He will be there for us. He will meet us every step of the way. We just have to trust him. And if we trust him, that means that we are obedient and we take action when God says to take action. So I hope you enjoyed the More Energy Method series. If you're ready for the next step, get on my email list and I'll send you the details for the course that I am releasing for the first time, the More Energy Method, a simple, faith-fueled, holistic roadmap to thriving health and lasting peace. So if you get on my email list, I'll send you the details on Monday morning. You can head over to herholistichealing.com/free to download your free guide, the More Energy Starter Guide, 4 faith-fueled steps to reclaim your health and peace. So go download that at herholistichealing.com/free. You might want to add me to your contacts and reply I'm in so you don't miss it. Make sure that my emails are out of spam if you want to hear about this new course that I am dropping on Monday, the More Energy Method, a simple, faith-fueled, holistic roadmap to thriving health and lasting peace. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for listening today. If you like what you heard, would you take a minute to leave the show a review? If you want to connect with me, you can go to my free community. The link is tinyurl.com/holistic sisterhood, or you can go to herholistichealing.com. Matthew 11. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
For you is easy and my burden is light.
This content is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be medical advice.